I'm here to talk to you about moments to momentum. So what does moments mean? As Simon said, there are over 1 billion moments or tweets happening around the world every 2 days. These can be everything from just everyday conversations to sporting triumphs or to global movements. And what we're seeing in Australia and around the world is that the most advanced brands are understanding that these moments are powerful moments to their consumers. So they're spending time understanding what moments align with their brands. And then they're having authentic conversations with their consumers around those moments. So I wanted to just share with you the different types of moments that we see on Twitter and how you can apply that in your everyday to your brand. So just starting off on what we call only on Twitter moments. So these are the things that we believe really only happen on our platform and to make Twitter so unique. Hopefully you guys can see this, but you might need to look up on some of the screens halfway through. But here's a conversation between Bill Clinton and Barack Obama that's occurring on Twitter. So for those who can't read this, Bill welcomes Barack Obama to Twitter and asks him if POTUS, the President of the United States, handle stays with office, hashtag asking for a friend, so referring to Hillary Clinton. And his response is, Barack Obama's response back is great. He asks Bill whether he's interested in the First Lady account. So just moving ahead, the next one, who could forget the global crisis that erupted around Johnny Depp's dogs, Boo and Pistol. And lucky for us, Barnaby Joyce sent this simple tweet, which was just dogs gone. And we saw Boo and Pistol leaving in Johnny Depp's private jet. Did everyone see hashtag put out your bats? I'm sure lots of you would have seen this. So this is an example of something that was a local moment. It turned into really a global phenomenon. What was really interesting about this moment was that when this tweet was sent out by Paul Taylor, he had 14 followers. So if you think about that, that really shows the incredibly distributed nature of Twitter. Even if you're not a Twitter user, the likelihood is you probably saw this tweet embedded in your favourite website, on TV, or even in print media. There are 150,000 tweets sent around hashtag put out your bats. So moving ahead to from these sort of only on Twitter moments to what we call a reactive brand moment. Has anyone seen hashtag technology and stuff? Yeah, a couple of hands. Cool. So basically, this moment occurred in the US. This was around the World Series baseball last year. This gentleman on the left-hand side is a Chevy dealer owner. So Chevy had paid a lot of money to be the sponsor of the World Series MVP award. I'll let the video do a little bit of the talking.
We have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup, which is the all-new 2015 Chevy Colorado. It combines class-winning and leading, technology and stuff.
So, if you're Chevy, that really didn't go to plan for Chevy. What was interesting on Twitter was hashtag Chevy guy started to trend, and hashtag technology and stuff started to trend as well. What happened next is people started to have a little bit of fun with it, creating memes like one giant leap for technology and stuff. But what was, I guess, even more interesting is that we saw the sentiment change around this reactive or this moment, and people started to support the Chevy guy. So I guess in years gone by, around that sort of massive TV moment, a brand if that had occurred to them, would have buried their head in the sand and been terrified and tried to just forget about it and move on. Chevy did the opposite. So Chevy dived deep, head first into this moment, and actually went out and owned the moment. And they created tweets like this: "Truck yeah, the 2015 Chevy Colorado was awesome. Hashtag technology and stuff. You know you want a truck." Then it went even further. They owned this moment so much that they actually ran a full-page ad in USA Today just with the title "Technology and Stuff." It even went further than this. They changed their entire website. They had technology and stuff as the kind of lead statement on their website. They were a sponsor of a major football team, and they just they changed the logo to the iconic Chevy logo with just technology and stuff under it. So just an incredible example of what we call a reactive moment that can occur on Twitter, and a brand actually decided to really own that moment rather than being scared and walking away from that. So I've talked about these kind of big, broad, only on Twitter moments, and then these more reactive moments, which are really hard to plan. But I wanted to give you an example of an Australian brand who really created their own brand moment on Twitter locally in the last couple of months. So I'm sure many of you have seen, you may not identify hashtag #ChockPlusWhat, but you probably understand where I'm going with this one. So Cadbury were launching 4 new flavours or they were launching 4 new flavours in the Australian market, and rather again pushing out a big TVC or standard online ads, print, etc., they went out first on Twitter with this, asking consumers really what they would add, what flavour they would add to chocolate. So they started to stimulate the conversations with tweets like these, hashtag choc, just with #ChockPlusWhat, and then adding it with just some flavours that might work, such as chocolate and lime, or ones that might not, like chocolate and avocado. What they saw was a massive level of positive conversation. Again, this might be a little bit hard for you to read, but there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations between Cadbury and consumers around what they would add to their favourite kind of chocolate combination. They were all incredibly positive as well. And then it went a step further. People started to create their own flavours. They actually kind of mocked up and created their own little tweets. So this one, I guess, chocolate and Milo makes a lot of sense. Chocolate and Whiskers, not sure. There was so much positive conversation around this campaign on the platform that it actually, BuzzFeed created their own article, 28 Cadbury flavoured combinations. So essentially this article was an entire article with tweets around the different types of combinations that people would create. Then they did obviously a really smart thing on social platforms, particularly Twitter. They reached out to influencers like The Project, obviously with the main kind of flavour that they were launching with. And then the worst kept secret, I guess, in a social campaign is they launched dairy milk, chocolate and Vegemite. Has anyone tried it? Yep. It's not sure. Jury's out on that one. No, so it was an incredibly successful campaign. They really owned that moment. They owned their brand moment. They created authentic conversations between a brand and consumers, and they used influencers to drive the conversations even further. They had a really successful, incredible campaign. We're writing a case study with Cadbury and the agency on this at the moment, and we'll be releasing that on biz.twitter.com probably in the next couple of months. So watch out for that. So we've talked about these only on Twitter moments, these reactive moments, and these brand moments, so the ways that you as a brand can own moments on Twitter. I wanted to kind of shift gears, I guess, and move from what we call moments to momentum. So what are we doing as a platform to assist brands to drive that moment even further? And we're doing a lot around our product and some big product changes that will help you in that area. So there's 2 kind of key areas that we're looking at. First is expanding distribution. So we're creating the opportunity, we're creating something called Twitter Publisher Network, which I'll explain in a second. We've done a deal around search, which I'll go into as well, and syndication as well. So just taking a step back, maybe if I can have a show of hands in the room, how many people are Twitter users? Yep, so looks like probably maybe 50%, maybe 60%. If I asked you in the room, how many of you have seen a tweet in the last 30 days? How many would that be? Pretty much everyone. So I guess that's what this says here. Twitter is an incredibly distributed platform. Even if you are not in that initial blue area with the Twitter logo, so that's the 50 or 60% of the people, the likelihood is that you've seen a tweet. And so that puts you in these kind of additional circles. So these are the users who come to Twitter and they use the app or possibly the desktop and actually log in. We have a twofold increase in the number of people again who actually come to twitter.com but they never log in. So they come to Twitter basically, a lot of them from search and a lot of them from syndicated articles as well. So the massive volume of articles that are syndicated across the web. If you click on the actual tweet, you'll be bounced to Twitter, but you may not actually end up going to Twitter as a logged-in user. Then the next piece is Twitter Publisher Network, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then distributed tweets. So they're those billions of tweets that you see across, embedded into your favourite websites. And I'll explain what this really means for you as brands and how this will mean you'll be able to reach more consumers. So starting off, we have over 1 billion users globally. So this starts with the 302 million users that we have who actually come to Twitter and log in. We have another 500 million users who actually come to Twitter and they may not actually log into that experience. And then beyond that, we have over 1.2 billion people who see tweets off Twitter. So that's all the people, the 40% of people that put up their hand and said, yes, I've seen tweets in the last 30 days, and that's likely embedded in your website or potentially even in newsprint or obviously on TV as well. So what does that mean and what are we doing? We're changing the way that you can consume Twitter even as a non-logged in user. Previously, when you came to Twitter, you would just see this bar on the right-hand side and there was really nothing beyond that. And so if you're like my mum, who doesn't really know what I do, she would come to Twitter and she would have nowhere to go. She just wouldn't, well, I have to log in, but I don't know, who do I follow, etc., etc. The new experience that we're going to be giving users is the ability to really consume Twitter in the similar way that you would logged in. And you can essentially do very much all of the same actions until you want to actually favourite or retweet or reply. We have opened up these 500 million users to brands with the first piece of advertising, which is called Promoted Trends. So we're now displaying Promoted Trends not just to logged-in users, but to logged-out users, which again obviously gives you as brands the opportunity to reach more people. Then the next piece, which we've just launched in Australia, is what we're calling the Twitter Publisher Network. We purchased a company called MoPub, which is one of the biggest mobile exchanges in the world, about 2 years ago, and we've been working for a couple of years to essentially connect MoPub as an exchange with Twitter. What this allows you to do as brands now is to send out a tweet like this. So this is a promoted tweet that this brand JBL sends out. But with just one click of a button, you're able to syndicate that across your favourite mobile apps, things like Trivia Crack or Words with Friends, and run that as a full page, interstitial or a video ad. And we have new formats coming soon. I'm not sure what happened to my presentation there. Just while we're getting that up. So yeah, essentially the Twitter Publisher Network is the connection of a mobile exchange which allows you as advertisers to reach people off Twitter. So basically you're able to actually reach people who are Twitter users, and then you're able to reach them off Twitter across the favourite apps to increase the frequency. But we're also able to, through lookalike targeting, reach people who have never logged into the Twitter app. So that significantly increases your reach. And I might just, given there's something wrong going on with this one. So that's essentially what it looks like. So a full page interstitial, we have video formats coming as well and other formats. It'll also be socially enabled as well, so you'll be able to retweet and reply from the actual ad unit. So moving ahead around this idea of momentum, so giving you as brands momentum and the ability to reach more people, we've just done a deal with Google globally. Some of you might be able to see this if you pull out your phones and type in Taylor Swift or type in a hashtag. You may be able to see this. We're rolling this out, or Google's rolling this out globally slowly. Essentially what this is the ability to take the real-time, the incredibly powerful real-time signals of Twitter and embed those into Google. So if you think about if Taylor Swift is at the Grammys and she runs up the stairs and she trips over, there's going to be tens of thousands of tweets about that moment before any news publishers are going to have that up on their website. So Google has identified that and seen Twitter as the perfect partner to bring those real-time signals. And this will give us the ability to drive more people to twitter.com, the logged out experience, which for you as brands who have your own profile, obviously eventually hopefully we'll be able to increase the number of people that go to your profile pages. So as I mentioned, two parts. We're starting with expanding distribution, Twitter Publisher Network, search and syndication. The next piece is we're giving you more creative tools. So we've now launched native video, Vine and Periscope on the platform, and I'll explain some more details about those three things. So 80% of Twitter users in Australia, over 80% of Twitter users in Australia come to Twitter through their mobile app. So we're a mobile-first company, but beyond that, we have 90% of consumers who consume video on Twitter are consuming that on mobile. So we've actually changed the way that mobile displays in people's Twitter feeds. So it's now a frictionless autoplay experience, and users, once they actually click on the actual ad, will then have sound. We've seen massive increases in scale and also cost efficiencies from this. The next piece is Vine. So we purchased Vine a couple of years ago, and Vine's a 6-second animation app. So the ability for you as brands to be incredibly creative and then use Twitter as actually your platform to push that out and have reach from. So we're seeing over 1.5 billion Vine loops every day, like this cute dog. Maybe one more time. So massive number of loops occurring around the world of cute dogs and everything in between, and brands can be involved in this. So it's not just cute dogs on Vine. Here's an example of a campaign that we ran with HP. So HP came to us after running a big TV ad which wasn't doing too well for them. They asked us how can we help them around the launch of this kind of bendable laptop. What we did is we identified 10 of the top vineographers. There's actually people now around the world that are making serious amounts of money as professional vineographers. They have anywhere between 2 and 12 million followers. So we found the top 10 in America and basically gave them this product and then let them go away and do their creativity. Some of you guys would have seen some of these people before, but this person, Zach King, is a magician. And then just fun, cool vines like this one here. So this was an incredibly... This campaign was so successful for them that they actually turned it on their head, and they actually took the top 5 vines and turned it into a TV campaign. An incredibly successful campaign. They're actually onto their second version of this campaign. And it wasn't just kind of cool, fun videos. We ran a Nielsen brand effectiveness study that are beyond just the one stat that I showed you here. It had a lot of positive impacts around the campaign, but in this case, a 12% increase in purchase intent after exposure. Who's heard of Periscope? Yep, cool. Periscope is another business that we purchased before it launched about 12 weeks ago now. And this is the ability for people with really a click of a button to turn their video, to turn their phone into a live broadcast platform. I'll just show you some examples of some cool periscopes that we've seen in the first 12 weeks.
Here we go, and we're up.
We're on Koh Samet Island in Thailand.
Hey guys. Sunrise from Cappadocia.
Live from Amsterdam!
La Piazza San Pietro.
We're in a village called Sipagat in Nepal.
Welcome to the moon, live from Cassiopeia Observatory.
There we go, that's the whole city.
I can use this app in North Korea.
Okay, so this is the real damage that was done here.
And yet still people are getting on with life.
Live from planet Earth. Hope you enjoyed it.
So Periscope, 12 weeks old. We're going to have some big changes coming to the platform, deeper integration with Twitter, and already there's a lot of excitement around this. I think we're periscoping live now on my favourite Periscope stand that I've ever seen. Really, really exciting platform for Twitter and for brands. Super easy to use and download. Essentially, just download the app, log in using your Twitter account, and start shooting. It's as simple as that. There's been a bunch of brands in Australia that have started to use Periscope for campaigns. So Vivid, through the New South Wales government, was one example. Really, really simple. They just basically used Periscope to live stream the opening night of Vivid to the world. And another campaign that we ran was called hashtag Pommel, or Sportsbet, the brand ran. Basically, the campaign was you sent in your sledge to the English cricket team around the Ashes and included hashtag Pommel. And they'd set up this studio which had cricket balls firing down at a English cricket box every time someone used hashtag Pommel. And the person who broke open the piñata won $10,000. And they live streamed this during the entire event. And the beautiful part of Periscope, as well as brands, is you can actually take that stream within 24 hours off the platform and then use it on your own owned channels and cut it up as you wish. So just finishing up with 3 key takeaways. So as I mentioned, as brands, whether you're a really small brand or right through to a massive brand, I think there's a massive opportunity for you to identify the moments that matter to your consumers and then the moments that matter to your brand, and then engage with your customers in real, authentic ways on Twitter. We're working really hard as a company to give you more ways to reach more people across the world on Twitter, but also to that massive distributed audience. And then lastly, we have these ever-increasing number of creative tools that are giving you ways to tell your stories in interesting ways through things like Vine, video, and Periscope. Thank you very much.
2 different entities are going to provide value to the audience, and that's the publisher and that's the brand. What can we both do together that's going to add extra value to the audience?
What if, because bottled water is stupid, we launched a brand of bottled water? Take on the multinationals, the big brands out there, and give consumers a choice. And in that moment, get them to buy a product that exists 100% to get water to people who need it.